All right, so we have made it through shape, proportion, costuming, and now we're on to details. This is the last of the big steps, and then we will have one more video after this just to wrap things up. But to get through detailing, this might be one of the shorter videos, but also one of the longer draw times because you can really go crazy with this. It is the last step to design of your character, not necessarily of your time with this character. You can definitely go on to more exaggerated things like different costuming, posing, expressions, anything you want to do with this character is really up to you. This is an introduction class, so I want you to see it as a first step to follow for these strong character designs. And in details, we will tackle what makes this character unique and distinct. Now, I mean, all of the steps have kind of been that, but these are the aspects that could wait the longest. Basically, like you want to tackle shape first. You don't want to dive into details at the beginning. So, examples of what details are, we're thinking about race, we're thinking about makeup and tattoos and jewelry, any kind of piercings and adornments, how they would style their hair or their facial hair. I definitely had fun looking at these images, by the way. If they are an animal character, anthropomorphic or anything like that, what kind of thing would set them apart from the rest of the animals? Is it that they, instead of being a red fox, they're a purple fox? I mean, there are just so many different ways of thinking about this. Oh, also, of course, if they are differently abled or missing any limbs, I want you to think about all of these aspects and more, anything that you can find in your pantheon of knowledge of being a human. Of course, the more well-traveled you are, the more you talk to people, the more you consume stories of distant, far-off places, anything like that, the more you will have in your basket of goodies to put onto your character. Because as artists, we are reflecting the world in our art. And so it's just another endorsement for me to live your life fully so that you have something to say and something to give back to this wonderful world. All right, so as an example of some of these details, I have three characters here. And I'm going to start on Finn the Human, upper left corner. This is from Adventure Time. And I want to draw your attention, literally draw your attention to his mouth and how many teeth he has, because it looks like he's missing a few. And in terms of just the detailing of dental health, I mean, this show doesn't have a lot of details. So when there's something like that that's called out, I feel like it is kind of indicative of his character. It's one of the very few details of who he is. And to be missing a few teeth shows that his dental health is not in the best condition. And I definitely think, knowing his character, I've seen Adventure Time, and knowing his character, he could have eaten candy and not brushed his teeth for his entire life. Basically, he is just a big baby. Like he's a child. And so the idea that he would lose teeth because he's not being cared for by anyone who would make him brush his teeth makes sense to me. So I think that's why they added that to the character design. Over on the right, we have a very obvious Scar. His name is Scar and he's got a scar. I wonder why. Yeah, so this is one of those more obvious ones that, like, if you put a big scar, especially on the face of a character, the reasoning behind it should stand up. I mean, they literally named this character after that trait. And I think that was a good move because it gives you a mystery behind it. It gives you something to be like, what gave him that scar? But almost everything about him says that he was outcast, that he is othered. And so I'm not surprised that he would have a scar. He also rubs people the wrong way or lions the wrong way. A lot of times he's very sassy. And so I think that him getting that scar is fitting of his character as well as adds to his backstory. And then thirdly, I want to just remark on some adornments that may be not just for decoration, but could be a spiritual or religious reason, and have some aspects to them that tell story just by having them. Tattoos could easily be religious, and just like the idea behind certain things, even just having, you know, head coverings in a lot of countries means something to the person, the individual, as well as the society that they're in. So, again, just like costuming, this can tell about the world, and it can tell about that person's place in it very quickly. So, I would definitely be interested in seeing how you play with these aspects of your character to add even more juice to them. Is that a wrong term? Juice? Okay, so as a quick little challenge, I want you guys to imagine a character in your mind real quick. This character is fast, nimble, aloof, very capable, and always lands on their feet. Now, if you were to think of a detail that went with this character or something that would maybe inspire some of the design aspects of it, what would that be? Because I think, this is my opinion again, I'm hoping that you guys are following along. I think that that would be a cat. And yes, I had fun looking up this image too. So I think of a cat with those kind of descriptors. And if you make that cat a character who is also the captain of a ship, you will get the captain from Treasure Planet. If you haven't seen this one, it's also a really good movie with fantastic character designs, have to say. So this character in particular is all of the above. She definitely matches all of the descriptors, but she also has this added bonus of being the foil to the dog character, which I just absolutely love that they put these two together. And I bet you that they made this decision for one of them and then created the other to be the foil. And in so many ways, they contrast each other. This is just one of the many ways that you can decide if you want to make your character anthropomorphic in any way. It is another world of aspects that you can add to your character. And it is just like the shape design, you instantly add so many connotations of that animal to your character. So it can be a really strong decision if you choose to make it. All right, so let's get into what I have been doing for the characters. My one and two ladies. Number one is witty and strong-willed and anxious, and number two is caring, generous, and unorganized. They are witches. They are wandering the adventurous countryside of the 1700s France. The 1700 France, don't get it messed up. And so what I have done this week is I have basically added a bunch of different detailing to these characters. I ended with the costume generally where I wanted it to be, and I ended up actually keeping a lot of the aspects that I added to it. I thought I would change it more, but it turned out to be pretty strong. So these are the details that I have chosen to keep. I marked them in red, and they're really all over the place. Like on each one of these, it feels kind of different. So what I did was I compiled them. So these are our final characters. These are two ladies that are just rough and tumble, ready to go, but they also have the frills of the 1700s, and they also have a little bit of a Beatle-ish flair, probably even more Beatle than I previously thought. And they kind of have adapted. I now have more descriptors that I would give to them that are just as valid as the beginning ones. And that's exactly what I want you guys to feel, is that like, you know your characters now. You know them better than you thought you were going to. And that's one of the best aspects of making characters, is feeling like you really did them justice. They're yours. They're just like I said at the beginning, they're little friends. So I have actually named these ladies finally Justine and Olive. And yes, I got those names from a 1700s French name book. The internet is amazing. So now that we have our ladies, I want to see your people. Woohoo! We're almost there, but before the end, I want you to create 5 variations for each character design. So I did 3 for each of them, and they don't have to be wildly different. They don't have to be like, oh, every single one of them is crazy big difference. But when you think of an aspect like, ooh, I want to add gloves to them, you can add short gloves, you can add long gloves, you can add fingerless gloves, you could vary it up from person to person because you are still designing this costume and the person themselves. Oh, I also forgot to add, I did choose races for these guys. Olive is of like South American descent. And then Justine is Asian. So those are pretty like general places and terms for people. But I just wanted them to show a more diverse crowd and definitely opened up the door for more fun design. The aspects of different races are fascinating. So back to the assignments. So create 5 variations for each character design. You have 5 characters, so that's going to be quite a few. And then ask your family or friends what words you would assign to the characters once you've chosen your favorites and added them to the lineup. So you're going to show them your 5 final-ish characters, and you're going to ask them what kind of words they would give to these characters. And of course, when you're picking your favorites, I want you to feel free to mix and match the details that you're changing up. So it's not necessarily that you draw 5 of them and you have to pick one of them. You can take your favorite details and amalgamate them into one drawing. And feel free to redraw because hopefully through this entire process, you have kept it really sketchy. And at this point, you are ready to add those details that you've been holding off on doing. So please feel free to jump in. Of course, keep it fun. Of course, look up reference as far as you want to. And as far as you need it, for sure. If you find yourself like, I don't know what gloves look like, look up reference. Trust me, it will help. All right, so our next section is just going to be a wrap up, and I look forward to seeing you there. Have fun.